behalf of the entire Jacobs family, I want to thank all of you for being here during this difficult time to bring comfort and meaning as they remember their beloved Joan. I remember it was several years ago, I had the privilege of celebrating with Erwin and Joan and the rest of their family, and at one point, I sneezed. And Gary, I think it was, said, "God bless you." I, of course, said, "Thank you." And there's Joan laughing. Gary said, "What's so funny, Mom?" And Joan said, "The rabbi doesn't need blessings." And I've come to realize, I share that story because I come to realize in that moment, and in general, I don't need a blessing. Because Joan was my blessing. Being a friend, knowing her family and what she stood for was all the blessing I could ever need. This morning, as we gather to honor the life of the Jacobs family matriarch, we come together not only to mourn, but to celebrate a remarkable journey of a woman who left an indelible mark on all of us. With heavy hearts yet filled with gratitude for the privilege of having her as part of our lives, we pay tribute to her legacy. Joan was a beacon of strength, grace, and resilience. She embodied the enduring spirit of her Jewish heritage, embracing its traditions with unwavering dedication to our people and its values. Her commitment to family and community serves as a guiding light for us all. In her presence, we experience the warmth of unconditional love and the wisdom of generations past. She was not only a pillar for the Jacobs family, but a source of wisdom and inspiration for all who knew her. Her words carried the weight of history. Her actions and generosity of spirit reflected the depth of her character. Her love knew no bounds. Joan navigated life's challenges with courage and determination. And through every trial and triumph, Joan remained steadfast in her convictions, reminding us all of the power of resilience and faith. Her legacy will endure in the hearts and minds of all who were touched by her kindness, her wisdom, and her love. And though she may no longer be with us in body, Joan's spirit will continue to guide her family. Her memory will continue to inspire, and her love will continue to sustain us. As we come together this morning for a celebration of life, let us take comfort in the knowledge that her legacy lives on in each of you, her cherished family and extended family. May her memory be a blessing, and may we honor her life by embracing the values she held so dear and close to her heart, and by striving to live lives with the same grace, strength, and compassion that she exemplified. Rest in peace, Joan. Your light will forever shine bright in our hearts. It's my honor to welcome up now Joan's 4 beloved sons, Gary, Hal, Paul, and Jeff, along with their wives, Jerry Ann, Debbie, Genevieve, and Annie.
I'm Gary Jacobs, the oldest of the 4 boys. And as you have read and heard, Mom was a major philanthropist and dedicated to making San Diego live up to America's finest city. But first and foremost, she was a loving, devoted mother. Mom kept the household running, created delicious meals, and made sure we had everything we needed to succeed. She continued this from the first apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts, that I got us kicked out for being too noisy, to 21 Jason Street in Arlington, Massachusetts, to 3 cross-country car trips in a Ford Econo van, first with 3 young boys, and last one with 4 young boys, and with no seatbelts or car seats in those days. When we moved to La Jolla in 1966, Mom became very involved in many causes, including the International House at UC San Diego, the La Jolla Democratic Club, and the La Jolla Jewish community. Her involvement in leading by example started us, the next generation, understanding about giving back to the community, which was very important to her. Sunday, Mother's Day, was especially hard. For the first time in 67 years, Mom wasn't here to celebrate with us. We tried to do it without her, but it just wasn't the same. I want to thank all of you for the love from friends, family, and community for Mom and the family. Mom, memories of you keep you alive within us. I miss you, Mom. I will always love you, Mom.
Hi, I'm Harlan Hal Jacobs, second son of Joan and Erwin, and the only one with a unique first name. I think my parents were going alphabetical, Gary, Harlan, Erwin, Joan, before they got sidetracked when Paul was born. This is my wife, Debbie, our son, Connor, and our daughter, Lindsay. I thought we should all stand up here together because family was always first and foremost with Mom. I feel incredibly grateful that in addition to all the amazing trips we got to take as a family growing up, that in October 2019, just 6 months prior to the world shutting down from COVID, Debbie and I got to travel to Milan, Madrid, and San Sebastian with my mom and dad. We had a fantastic time viewing spectacular art and eating incredible food. I'll never forget the four of us sitting down to eat delicious cheesecakes in a little tapas bar in San Sebastian. Even then, though, when we visited the Guggenheim in Bilbao, we pushed Mom around in a wheelchair so we could move more rapidly and explore the entire collection. Mom would say, "Look at that incredible blue. You can tell it's Yves Klein." And she gave us an art expert's insight into dozens of other pieces in the exhibition. Unfortunately, just 2 months later, in December 2019, Mom was diagnosed with cardiac amyloidosis and given only 6 to 12 months to live. But Mom fought every day an increasingly difficult battle and lived for over 50 months after her original diagnosis. The last 24 months, the quality of life wasn't fantastic, but Mom and Dad worked to make it meaningful and memorable. I often wondered why she would fight so hard when her lifestyle was already so compromised. At first, I thought it was just her incredible will to live. But after watching and listening to her, I realized she was much more motivated by that after 75 years together, she didn't want to leave Dad on his own. Her concern for him was that magic ingredient that kept her alive 4 times as long as the doctors originally expected. It was that same concern for others that made her such an amazing mother and invaluable contributor to San Diego's growth as a city. Mom, I love you. I already miss you immensely. You live forever in our minds and in our hearts and in our souls. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul Jacobs. My wife, Genevieve. If you can't pronounce that, you can call her Jen. So you all know my mom as a pillar of the community, and she was that, and she still is in so many ways. And because she cared so much, she wanted things to be done right, and she expected that you did too. She taught us big things like being a great parent, and that when you're so fortunate, it's our responsibility to give back to the community. She taught us small things like don't bust the table until everyone's done eating, and she meant it, much to the chagrin of one of my friends who was a waiter of ours one time. She treated us with honor and respect just as she treated everyone with honor and respect, even as she held us to high standards. And those lessons about honor and respect are why we're so close as a family. Over the past week, our family's been gathered at the house like we always do at big events. We all get along so well, and everybody's been so comforting to each other. And all my kids are here to support each other and the rest of the family, and they really have given me a tremendous amount of peace. And that's Mom still gathering us and pulling the family together. And we were all noticing that it didn't feel so strange that she wasn't in the room with us all the time, because we felt a little like she was just resting in the other room, like she's had to do over the past few years. And so now she's really in another room, the room of our memories. So I just wanted to share something about how protective and loving a mother she is. So I've told many people a story that when I was doing a postdoc at a lab in Toulouse, France, and we'd gone to hunt mushrooms in the mountains with some of the other grad students, and while we were out there, our passports got stolen from our car. So we had to go to Bordeaux that weekend to get new ones from the U.S. consulate. Well, Mom knew we had gone mushroom hunting, and she kept calling the apartment and never getting a response. So she imagined the worst, that we had eaten some toxic mushrooms and were sick or something worse. So me, not knowing anything, I come back to the lab after the weekend, and people are pointing at me and they're snickering, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening until I got to my desk and I saw a fax with big words on it, printed, "Paul Jacobs, call your mother." Mom, I'm still calling you, and I always will call you. As my son Sam and I left Mom at the hospital on Tuesday morning, we walked by the Coons Party Hat, which is part of the Joan Jacobs Healing Arts Collection at UCSD. I certainly didn't feel like partying, but I did hear Mom's and Dad's voices in my head telling me there will be happiness and celebrations ahead, and that she will always be part of them. And I want to thank everybody here for being part of this one, and we feel your love, and it's very comforting to us. Thank you.
What a venue, and what an appropriate celebration for my amazing mom. You know, the red chairs you're sitting in are ones she picked out, special. And thank you everyone for coming. From her baby's perspective, my mom was loyal, supportive, and humble. At the funeral on Friday, I shared amongst several stories about my childhood that Mom was a stay-at-home mom raising 4 somewhat rambunctious boys, all 3 years apart, with essentially no help because we could not afford it. I remember vividly our regular visits in our blue Econoline van to the 1-week-old store in Kearny Mesa to buy not quite stale Wonder Bread, Ho-Hos, and Twinkies for the house because it was so much cheaper. My mom made sure each night we had a family dinner, and it was always 4 courses: a canned fruit salad, iceberg lettuce with either Bob's Big Boy blue cheese dressing or Bob's Big Boy Thousand Island dressing, a main course of something like hamburger helper or tuna noodle casserole or spaghetti with ketchup, and then the dessert, which was usually just raiding Mom's candy cabinet stashed full of plain M&Ms, jelly beans, or Tootsie Rolls, her favorite. And our big family vacations were camping trips to national parks, and this was by no means glamping. Pop-up tents on the hard ground, the Coleman stove ablazing, and frozen homemade chili in the steel pot. Fortunately for me, at least, my mom must have found the romance in it at all, or I would not have existed. Rumor has it I was conceived in Yosemite. But even with these humble beginnings, Mom always had a sense of style, grace, class, and sophistication, albeit on a slightly lower budget than her later years. So in 2010, when we decided to purchase an aging boutique hotel, Rancho Valencia, with the audacious and ambitious plan to make a hotel in San Diego one of the great hotels in the world, we were certainly met with some skepticism and apprehension, which was likely deserved. And while we essentially had no hospitality experience or background, what I really knew is that we had the secret weapon. The secret weapon was Mom. No one else had Mom or her style and grace. So after learning the hotel business for 2 years, we embarked upon a major remodel. Mom was actually involved during the remodel, actively involved. She loved Rancho Valencia. But if Mom wasn't around day to day, I'd always turn to my guiding light and what I called WWMD. What would Mom do? From room design to restaurant menus to service standards, placemats, floral soaps, etc., you name it. As we designed and built out the new Rancho Valencia, always in the back of my mind was WWMD. Mom was literally our competitive advantage. Mom, I know you always be looking down on your baby forever, making sure I stay safe, cared for, happy, and loved. But Mom, know your legacy will be inside me every day, because a day won't go by as I navigate life that I'll always ask myself, what would Mom do? Mom, you literally are the greatest mother of all time. Your baby misses you and loves you today and forever. Thank you.
We will now hear Vivaldi's Four Seasons, Spring First Movement by the Hutchins Consort, featuring Joan's daughter-in-law, Jerry Ann Jacobs. Joan was blessed with 14 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren who were the light of her life. We'll hear from 4 of them, Adam, Sarah, Jess, and Connor, who will also be joined by their cousins, Beth, Lindsay, Sam, Dylan, Josh, Jet, Annabelle, Alicia, and Daisy.
Hello, everyone, and thank you again for all being here today. As mentioned, I'm Adam Jacobs, the oldest of these 14 grandchildren and father of the 2 great-grandchildren of Joan and Erwin Jacobs. For some reason, the universe determined that I would be the first of that next generation, and I'm extremely thankful for it. I got to know my grandmother, and she got to know me for over 38 years. She used to say to me, Adam, you're a role model to your siblings and cousins, whether you like it or not. I've carried that with me always. But Grandma Joan didn't just say those words to me. She showed them to me through her own actions. She used her incredible influence and privilege to make the world a better place for everyone. She never forgot her roots. She led by example, and when she got involved in something, she went all in. I guess you can literally and figuratively say that she put her money where her mouth is. My grandmother and I share a lot in common, including our alma mater of Cornell University. I used to walk by her old dorm room every day on the way to class. And many of you know that both my grandparents met at Cornell, so it's a very special place. I'll never forget the day that I called my grandmother to cancel lunch on her. And for those of you that know her, you do not cancel lunch on Joan Jacobs. I did have the one excuse that worked, though, as my wife Amy and I were going into labor with her first great-grandchild. So thankfully, she forgave me. Grandma, it's so poetic that we are celebrating your life here at the same venue where Amy and I celebrated our marriage a couple years ago, and that you left this earth just a few floors down from where your 2 great-grandchildren entered this world. In the hospital bearing our name, and the walls covered in the art that you selected with the purpose of bringing joy to others. They say that your heart ultimately gave out, but that's not what I believe. What I believe is that you squeezed every last ounce of love out of that heart. And your family, your friends, people all over the city and around the world are the beneficiaries of that love. My grandmother holds many titles: philanthropist, community leader, trailblazer, the list goes on. But I think her favorite title was grandma and great-grandma. And she would tell you her greatest accomplishment was her ever-growing and close-knit family. My grandparents are an example of the ultimate team. Individually, both amazing people with their own talents and passions, yet they knew that together they could be an unstoppable force. I know I would not be the person I am today without the love she showed me and the lessons she taught me. Recently, every time we would leave at the end of a visit, I would lean over to give her a kiss, and she would say to me in her very gracious way, "Thank you for everything. I love you so much." Grandma, I miss you already, but I hope you know that your legacy is already being carried on into future generations. I hope you know how much I love you. Thank you for everything.
Hi, my name is Annabelle. I'm the 12th grandchildren of Erwin and Joan Jacobs. And I would like to say thank you to my grandmother. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you because you are in some sort my creator. I love you so much. You are an amazing lady. Thank you for being in my life.
I'm supposed to talk after that. It's not fair. I'm Jess Jacobs. I don't actually know where in the order I am. I guess I'm 5th or something like that of Joan and Erwin's grandkids. So when I was in grade school and my dad, Paul, and Grandpa Erwin were working together at Qualcomm, I had the very great fortune of traveling often as my dad's +1 on their work trips to India, to France, to Spain, to China, to Italy. I swear I went to school at some point, but all over the world. And while they would work, Grandma Joan and I got to wander between the good meals and the stops in a shop or 2 or 6 or 12. We always found the cultural centers of each city together. Theaters, art museums, public installations, architecture, music halls. And I learned to see the world through Joan's eyes, which meant seeing and understanding through the lens of art and culture. If you saw some of the photo slideshow compiled by all of us, you'll see that this was a gift that all of us were privileged to experience. But for me personally, there is no way in a family of prolific engineers and telecommunications giants that I would ever have gone into a career as a professional artist without Joan Jacobs. Her impact on San Diego's cultural scene is unparalleled and inarguable. But the ripple effects of her creative interests and commitments live on in her kids, her grandkids, our kids present and future, our own future grandkids and beyond, and especially in the hearts and minds of the San Diego community members who have gotten to wander themselves through the institutions and landmarks of our great city. From growing up in an apartment in Washington Heights in New York City to having her extraordinary life celebrated in an amphitheater she championed, surrounded by a family and community she built with Grandpa Erwin. It's a bit overwhelming. She has big shoes to fill. I can literally wear her shoes, but I only hope that I will be so lucky to ever fill them metaphorically. She was a worldly woman who was wildly grounded. She never lost touch with where she came from, and she instilled it in generations to come. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Connor Jacobs. I'm the son of Hal and Debbie, and this is my amazing sister, Lindsay. Grandma Joan grew up in a time where men dominated the world, yet she never had to fight to have her voice be heard. Her presence alone commanded respect. She was a feminine powerhouse and a true matriarch. I spent almost 7 years working at Qualcomm, the last of the Jacobs name. I know, pretty cool. I would always walk around the campus with pride, knowing the hard work and sacrifice that went into what my grandfather had built. Many times people would stop me and tell me how much they loved and valued my grandfather, and I enjoyed it every time. However, what was profound to me was the many times people would stop me and tell me how much they loved and adored Joan. Those interactions were special. Due to cardiac amyloidosis, the last few years she wasn't her full self, but Joan was still there. One day we were visiting, and she pulled my girlfriend Erica aside and asked, "Is Connor taking you out to eat enough?" If not, let me know and I'll take care of it. And everyone she encountered in life has felt the power of her love and kindness. Grandma Joan was iconic. From the love she showed her family to her passion for giving back to her community, and of course, her style. She left an indelible mark on not only San Diego, but people around the world. She would truly make me feel like I was her only grandkid, though I'm one of 14. It's incredibly hard to fathom that Grandma Joan is actually gone. And I will never forget our trips to this toy store with my sister Lindsay, shopping at the mall, visiting countless world-class art museums, and the amazing food she cooked. I miss her already, but her love will be with us forever. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Jacobs, shortest of the grandchildren who are fully grown. And after Grandma Joan was an only child and had 4 sons, and then my brother Adam came along, I was her first girl. Rumor has it that there was not a single pink thing left in all of San Diego after I was born, because she had bought it all. And my whole life, she would remind me how special I was to her, that I was her first girl. Now, Grandma Joan was the matriarch of our family in every sense of the word. And she had high expectations of everyone, especially her first granddaughter. But those expectations made all of us better, made San Diego a better place to live, and made me a better version of myself. Grandma Joan taught me that it was possible to be girly and feminine and love shopping and also be strong and opinionated and care about the world. She taught me the importance of giving back and never taking for granted the things that life had given me. That I couldn't wait to be asked. That it was my job to use all the privileges I'd been given to make San Diego and the world better. She taught me the importance of art and theater and music. She taught me how to build a family and a community. She was one of the most stylish and fashionable women I've ever known. I am who I am because I am her granddaughter. Grandma, I'll think about you every time I get dressed, every time I plan an event, every time I have a difficult decision to make. I will miss your wisdom and advice for the rest of my life, but I'll carry the lessons that you taught me with me forever, and I promise to keep Grandpa well-fed and make sure that his ties match.
Joan and I met our sophomore year at Cornell. We were both 17 years old. It was the beginning of our sophomore year. And we were together ever since, to very recently. She was always a very special person, obviously, to me and to many others. And the relationship in general went very smoothly. We did occasionally have our disagreements, but usually got over those very, very quickly. Joan participated very much in all of the decisions we made, which a number of them were kind of major changes in our life as we went along. For example, we both started the same year at Cornell, 1950, but she graduated in 54. And the problem was that I had started out in the School of Hotel Administration due to a counselor in New Bedford, Massachusetts, that said there was no future in science nor technology. And my folks had a restaurant at that time, so off I went to Cornell, which turned out to be very lucky. And a year and a half in, decided to switch over to engineering. And it was actually That year that I had the only course I shared with Joan, she was in what was then called home economics, and it was a food chemistry course. And so we were able to kind of share some notes together on that. And she was sorry when I left, but most of the class was very happy. We wanted to get engaged and then look forward to getting married after she graduated. And I did go and meet with her father, and we had met before, but when I told her we wanted to get engaged, he did raise a fairly significant question. How was I going to support her? And I explained to him that neither of us cared very much about money, it was just that we wanted to be together. Luckily, he didn't throw me out. But I did apply to MIT, received a fellowship, and Joan said, let's do it. And so off we went to MIT and spent some wonderful years there. And has been mentioned by our sons, we bought an old van, and I put a shelf across the back of it with some mattresses and a tent underneath and all the other things we would need. And we came camping 2 days and maybe hotel a third day, coming cross country for 3 weeks. And I must say that was some of the most wonderful time, just having that and being able to relax, etc. We fell in love with California, obviously. But we went back to Cambridge, to MIT. And then just after arriving back at MIT, I had a call from a former professor at Cornell saying there's a new school starting up in San Diego, UCSD. Would I come out and help get engineering started? And I did come out and visit again because we remembered San Diego, but we came back and decided family, friends, career, everything is on the East Coast. And so we called back and turned the position down. The second day was a heavy rainstorm. I came home from MIT, I had to wait to get on the bus, etc., soaking wet. And Joan met me at the door, and we had been looking for a home around Boston. We had been renting up to that point. And she said, listen to this. And she read the description of a wonderful sounding contemporary home. And I said, great, let's go see it tomorrow. And she said, only one problem, it's in La Jolla. And I often say it took us all of 10 minutes to become adjusted. It was just a wonderful place to be and be involved with the beginning of a new university campus. We had a number of years at UCSD. For years I've been telling students that all this theory we were teaching them would be very useful in what was called the real world. And so this was an opportunity to demonstrate that the theory was useful. So with that, we made the decision, both Joan and I and the family, that I would leave academia and go into business full time, which actually worked out fairly well. I want to point out that it was Joan that came up with the thought of making a major donation to the symphony. She said we should make a major gift, and then came up with the number $100 million. And so we did do that, and we've been very pleased to see what has been made of that gift over the many years since.